What's up, guys? I'm Keith Kelfis. I'm here right now with Denise Vidosh at Green Acres Nursery, and this is awesome. She has an interesting story to tell you about Retree. And what is Retree? What's up, Denise? How are you?
6 feet apart.
6 feet apart. I met her through Daniel Miraval, and she's got some really cool things going on, some great ideas.
So we're here at, as he said, Green Acres Tree Farm Nursery, located in Pontiac. And primarily I am a grower and supplier of mature, unique specimen trees. I ship them all over the country, and recently I created a digital marketplace for repurposed plant material that would otherwise be destroyed due to construction or overgrowing its current space. I believe that's a problem that is happening for so many property owners all over the country. Keith is closer to that because he's in the tree removal business as well as
we remove shrubs and trees and trim shrubs and trees and do landscaping. And after learning about what she's doing, I always kind of feel bad when I go to the dump site and we just dump off these beautiful Japanese maples and boxwoods and trees and shrubs and just leave them there to die, I guess. So
I saw an opportunity through my experiences as a grower, supplier, and a contractor. We also install our large plant material. And I was going into these job sites time after time, noticing that I was removing unique specimen trees that are very different than what is grown in a nursery. I believe, things that are grown in a nursery are pruned in a way that makes them look very cookie cutter most of the time. And when you find a plant in someone's backyard that they've been nurturing and caring for, or may not have over time, you find real gems. And I would venture to say that that is happening more often than we understand, because I'm not as close to it as on the removal side of the business.
yeah.
So I've created this digital marketplace to repurpose and sell this material here in Michigan, and eventually we will scale this marketplace to be utilized by any property owner across the country, and then eventually the world. So we also have qualified contractors on our site, right now only in Michigan, to transplant these large specimen trees.
So if somebody was they want to do some landscaping, but they got these beautiful trees and they just want to get rid of it, they can repurpose that, and somebody else can take it instead of it being discarded.
It's a buyer seller market,
like Facebook marketplace for trees.
Correct.
And shrubs, but
an
specific.
eBay, essentially,
eBay
for repurposed plant material. And I believe the market is large enough, from what I know here, doing my own work, and you as well, to really scale this on a national level, because we know it's happening every single day within our neighborhoods. So I want to create an easier way for that tree to live on and be replaced into a forever home, and not be cut down.
If Mrs. Jones is looking for a Japanese maple, instead of going to the nursery, which she can still do, but she'd be able to look at an app and see if any of her neighbors within a radius might have that.
Correct.
Which
would be a smarter, more environmentally friendly option, rather than going to the nursery and buying material that's been grown in a field. We are helping and supporting our environment by doing that. But as a contractor, you can also be on our app through our Retreat Academy. We are going to be doing trainings to qualify contractors, and they will be listed on our site as an option to utilize their services. So as a contractor, you can add this to your menu of services within your area. And then you're getting in front of the customer, and you can sell them other services. because you're there, right?
Yeah.
The hardest thing is getting in front of them. Tell them what you do, what your experience is, and how you can help them. So as a contractor, we can get you in front of them if you're providing the service and training.
What if I, as a contractor, a landscaper, I'm going to rip out a bunch of shrubs for a customer and plants? Wouldn't they have to think about that stuff in advance? Because my timing is very important as a contractor. I have to get that stuff out so I can get the new stuff in. How can I say, nope, we have to leave this green Japanese maple and landscape around it, and then they're going to come back and dig it up and then mess up our work? Like, how does the timing work so it's beneficial for the contractor?
So specifically,
So it makes it easy for them.
to go back, we are looking for, right now, we are just looking for the unique specimen trees. So we aren't doing any shrubs right now. Eventually, I think we can get to that.
Hmm.
But right now, we are making it a niche market.
You know what I just thought? A lot of homeowners are rugged individualists, and if there is, but I don't think if there was, but an app like that, and it just blows up, kind of like nextdoor.com blew up and things like that. People are referring in neighborhoods, hey, I got this hydrangea, I got this beech tree, I got this, and people can go and be swapping out plants all the time.
But we don't, so this app will help us see what's available in our area. So you don't have to go door to door asking your neighbors what they want to get rid of.
Well, I meant with the neighbors. Hey, look at that squirrel.
Oh.
They would be putting it on the app. Do squirrels just come up here all the time?
So anyways, our niche is, right now, unique specimen mature trees. So that's what we want to be selling on the app. That's what we're looking for.
Oh, so it's prioritizing the environment first, or like what if someone has an ash tree?
I just think we can't make the market that big immediately.
Yeah.
We have to layer by layer get into this, and we will continue to expand that. So ash trees are valuable, but they may be more valuable to like a park setting, right? So we can sell those to the parks and municipalities. But right now I'm focused more, because it's such a big market, I'm focused on the residential properties and what they have in their backyards. And everybody has something unique. Most people do, and especially in these areas that we live in.
What drives you to do this?
But you asked me one other question about the timing.
Yeah.
So we need to build up our inventory to drive the demand to utilize the app. So right now we do hold material because we are specifically piloting this app in Michigan right now, because I can control it. I am the contractor. I move the trees. So we moved this to the yard because we didn't have an immediate place for it to go, but the homeowner wanted it to be gone. So we move them. We do move them here and hold them. But my goal is for that plant to go from the buyer to the seller to the buyer's property in one swoop.
Mm-hmm.
So it leaves less risk for that plant to decline by being held above ground and maintained. All plants are better in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my goal, so that there is no issue with timing. There may be that homeowners might have to wait a little bit of time, but I want it to be seamless like that, so that there is no time that you have to wait, that it can be done. So
How do you what drives you to build all this and do this?
again, as I stated in the beginning, I kept seeing this reoccurring theme happening when I was going into these beautiful properties and planting new trees and replacing these unique specimens. I saw a real opportunity to repurpose that material and for it to live on and continue to benefit our environment. We also have, on the business side, a real inventory shortage in our industry. So I'm also supporting that by repurposing these trees as well.
Nice. I always think about, as I mentioned earlier, when I'm throwing out a bunch of garbage at my house because everything's coming in boxes and cardboard and things like that. There's so much paper. You said that's like, what is like the fulcrum point of us just destroying the entire environment to where it's not fixable? How far away is that?
I do not know the science behind that, but I know we all have an opportunity to do something about it. We are only in control of our own decisions and our own actions, right? So we can preserve these plants and help them to continue to benefit our environment. We are in control of that. We aren't in control of the grocery stores. They keep sending us overly packaged food, but we are in control of cutting down these mature trees.
You ever heard the definition of city it? That's what I feel like right now. City it?
No.
So you're an idiot from the city?
Oh.
I'm like...
But you're in the business, and so
Yeah.
I think you can really relate to what I'm talking about.
Oh, I
because you
can.
see it on a daily basis.
I can picture an entire app where I can scroll and find what I need locally and source that from the customer directly to the client. I can still get paid. I don't have to go to the nursery, and the customer gets what they want. I still get paid, and it saves the environment. And if I'm exclusively on this app, for contractors, like there's only 5 of us in the area that know about it, it becomes the new little sweet honeywell.
And you're doing something different.
You're doing something different, which saves the
You're
environment.
offering a service
Put it on
that
my
your
website.
fellow competitor has no idea. And we aren't going to saturate the market of those contractors. We're going to qualify, a few contractors to do really good work in your area and promote our mission.
So are they going to have a certification or something?
Yes.
So this is something to get excited about.
So we are going to have a retreat academy.
A retreat academy. What is that going to consist of?
We're going to have trainings to qualify you as a contractor. We're going to do webinars for residential homeowners to learn about tree care. Yeah.
I have a ton of clients, hundreds of clients, and there's quite a few of them that love their gardens. When we do a property walk, they know everything about every plant and they want everything meticulously done. And I like clients like that. Those are the nerdy type of green thumb clients that would love something like that.
Yeah.
So they get educated, the contractor gets educated. Then how are you gonna, is there a timeline for this?
For what?
To put all this together.
So we're working on developing the digital marketplace SaaS model app now. So we do have a web app that we can use here in the Detroit area. And we have been using it. So there is material on the catalog in the web app that can be accessed now. So you can see how it works. But our Retreat Academy is going to start in the fall. And we're going to get the digital marketplace launched by spring of 2021. And then move to Chicago and start to spread out.
Nice. So
you want to be one of the contractors on that app now.
let's do it. Yes. The nucleus is going to be Chicago or here?
Here.
In Michigan?
Start here.
Start here. Is Daniel Miraval going to be out?
Yes.
You should pop your head in real quick and say hello.
Daniel's
He
going to
always says
host our
something super valuable.
trainings.
Come stand in the middle and say something.
Stand in the middle.
What's your idea on this?
Well, I think it's quite interesting. So you brought up some valid points about sustainability and how long before we destroy ourselves. So we're living in this time that's called Anthropocene. So if you go online and you Google Anthropocene, it is the time where man has never been more involved in putting his hands in how things are changing on this planet than right now. So, we had the Bronze Age, the Metal Age, the Age of Fire and all this stuff, but right now we inhabit the space called Anthropocene. So man right now has the option to take the environment and all the issues this way, or we can go that way. So I champion Denise's mission and what she's trying to do, because she's trying to go that way. She's trying to fight the good fight. And there are other people who are trying to do it in different ways within the green collar profession. You know, I have my way, she has her way, but we can all work together symbiotically, harmoniously within the same profession, same industry, and make all this happen together. But a lot of this involves education. So I'm very behind her Retreat Academy and how she wants to use that as a platform to educate people within our profession on more of a multi-dimensional level. Not everybody's going to get into doing stuff like this, but there are other aspects of taking care of this tree after this happens that maybe you can inhabit that space. So there's room for everybody, I
So
think.
trainings will involve certification for large tree transplanting, but also tree care.
Plant health care,
Beyond that.
integrated plant pest management, plant health maintenance.
So this is very important, and for the environment as well, the future. What happens if people don't do this and start taking more action quickly?
Well, we lose our urban centers, lose their green spaces, which leads to a spiral of decline socioeconomically.
It just
On a
becomes
bigger
a
scale.
concrete jungle.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, benefits of trees are not just that this is a great shot to sit in front of this tree. You know, we know through science and research it can reduce crime, it can increase resale values of homes, property values, keep communities vibrant, because you have stakeholders in these communities, which are people who live in them. So through a process like this where we're repurposing a tree, you get people to buy into this notion that I can take care of this and be a part of the sustainability movement and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of the direction that we're trying to go. But see, she's doing it in a way that causes less stress to the tree, which on my end as a plant health care provider says that's great, because we can better manage the health of plants, maybe use a little less or no pesticides at all, because she's doing it in a way that doesn't stress the tree, which invite all these other insects and problems and diseases and all that kind of stuff. So this is like a whole symbiotic thing, right?
You have to come to training.
You have to, yeah, that's what you're
Training
getting for free.
Where's the training going to be?
Training's going to be here until we get probably a second hub going in Chicago, where I can be involved and continue that on, and we'll push our way west and south.
Training is going to be at Carrie's Tree Farm. She can come up here.
Nice. Now I feel like the bad landscapers are going around cutting down people's trees and shrubs. This is a lot of responsibility on my shoulders right now. How do you guys feel about this? Let me know in the comments. All right. Where can people learn more about this?
We have a web app right now. Again, we are developing our SaaS model digital app to launch in the spring, but we have a web app now that's at re-tree.org.
re-tree.org.
And they can learn a lot about it on your podcast too.
Yeah, we did an episode on the Untrapped podcast. Just look up Untrapped podcast. Scroll down, you'll see Vidosh, Denise Vidosh, Vidosh. And then there's also a video of it on the Untrapped podcast YouTube channel. And she talks extensively about this. So if you want to learn more, click in the link in the description below. All right, guys, this is Daniel Miraval. You might have seen him in my videos. He's a certified arborist from Chicago, Illinois. And this is a guy I really look up to and respect. I met him back in 2015. And he's very wise when it comes to being a proactive steward of the urban environment. So he's gonna walk us through and give us some of that knowledge and the tips, bro.
Drop some nuggets.
Some nuggets.
So I guess we should tell everybody where we're at.
Yeah.
Right? So we're at Denise Vidosh's annual customer appreciation barbecue gala that she puts on every year at her Pontiac location, Green Acres Tree Farm, and also Retree, which you'll learn more about that as time goes on, what Retree is. That's repurposing of trees. But yeah, so we're kind of walking through her yard where she keeps her material, and landscapers can come in the local Tri-County, Macomb, Oakland, Wayne County area and pick up some more mature specimen trees, especially evergreen trees. So that's mostly what she's, focused on. So bigger evergreen trees.
Nice.
Yeah. But then you get stuff like this.
I actually have this in my front yard landscaping. Tell me about that.
It's a Korean lilac,
Yeah.
and it's on a standard, we call it, which is just means it's been grafted on to another tree. So these are two different plants. This is the rootstock of what looks like a cherry tree, and this is the actual shrub grafted on. So there's a whole process where you cut into the rootstock of one, the parent rootstock, and then you stick a cutting in of the plant, and they graft together. And there's a process, there's a tape that you use, a special kind of tape. There's a hormone that you put in, so those two will meet and marry each other. And then of course they've got to be compatible. And that's as much as I know about that. It's just a thing. But they do require a little bit extra care, because this is called a graft union right here, where these two things come together. And there can be some issues that can develop in this area over time. So this isn't necessarily a tree that'll live, be hundreds of years old. Can, but it does require a little more extensive care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Why is the root ball so big?
Well, there's standards that you've got to follow. So many inches per diameter inch or caliper inch of tree, and there are standards, best management practices, standards that we follow. Specifications, I should say, not standards. There's specifications that you should follow. So at least a 10 to 1, 10 inches of root ball for every inch of caliper of tree. Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yep.
Hey, these over here, these U's?
Taxus hicksai.
Taxus hicksai.
Yeah, Japanese.
Because they look so different.
Use.
How much? I just bought
There's
these.
several different varieties. There's Hatfields.
Yeah.
There's densiformis. There's Rapandans. There's Hatfields. There's hicksai. Hatfield is very similar to hicksai.
Yeah.
I don't think they grow as big.
Nice.
Yeah, really cool.
And because they're evergreens, do they need more or less water than your average bush or shrub?
They can dry out in the winter because they are an evergreen. So they're kind of doing their thing all year long. So they can have a tendency to dry out. They can also get winter burn. You just get excessive cold temperatures and a lot of wind, and it sucks all the moisture out of the plant. Yeah, so even in the wintertime, they may require some watering. If we go through an extensive period of no snow, no rain, it gets get some warm days in the wintertime. Yeah, early February is a bad time. It happens a lot. It seems more and more that's happening with our climatic crazy changes, and I think that's going on all over the country. It's going to be 80 degrees in Michigan like the 13th of February, and then April it's like freezing or frost and
I've seen that all the plants start blooming and then they freeze and they're in shock, and then
and once they start to come out of dormancy, the roots start looking for moisture, and then they get shocked, and they have problems. So that happened with boxwoods in the Chicagoland region last year. A lot of boxwoods got cooked.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about this tree over here? This one's beautiful. What is this?
This is a beech. Beech.
I need to pump up my energy. Man, this one's a beech?
It's a beech tree, yeah. So it's a nice tree, big root ball. They put the plastic on to try to keep the moisture intact in the root ball so it doesn't dry out. Obviously, you don't want to plant this into the ground. But a lot of care has gone through. So that's one of the things that Denise and I resonate on together, is she understands the necessity to make sure that root flare is exposed when she's doing this kind of harvesting. So, she follows really good nursery practices.
So the root flare being exposed.
Right, so the root flare is a transition zone between the trunk of the tree or the branches of this multi-stem tree and the roots themselves. So this area in between is a transition zone known as the root flare, the root collar, root crown, and that area should be exposed. All this wants to kind of stay dry. Roots want to be wet. Two different types of tissue, and when you bury all this is when you can develop a lot of problems.
I see you on your Instagram all the time. Too Latino for you. He shows pictures of people with mulch on trees. Can you talk about that?
It's volcano mulching. We need to think of donuts, not volcanoes, and by that I mean, or a bagel even. Is a depression in the middle, and if you're going to put mulch, the mulch needs to be higher at the ends than it does in the middle, and usually it's the other way. It's more buried like a crown at the top, and then it's nothing going down. So we need to do the opposite of that. From a pruning standpoint, and I don't want to call out Denise because she probably didn't have the opportunity to do what needed to be done, being that this was repurposed from somewhere else. there's a lot of pruning that needs to happen in here. A lot of
The
crossing branches, yeah.
Crossing and they
Right.
rub. What happens when they rub?
They can cause damage,
Yeah.
which can lead to other issues, introduction of pests, disease, and then the tree goes into decline. And it just doesn't live as long as it
Wow.
should. Yeah, so
Learning so much. What's that?
I want to get my pruning saw and go to work on it.
He's itching to.
I know, I mean, it's to go in there and do some work on it.
What's this?
That is a, feels like a fir. I don't think it's a spruce. It's awfully soft. Yeah.
Don't
evergreen.
these belong in Colorado?
That's Colorado blue spruce.
Oh, okay.
This is, I think this may be a white spruce actually.
Because I see them
Not a
here in
Norway.
Michigan.
Those are Norway spruces.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Midwest spruce decline. That's
Spruce
called Colorado
decline?
blue spruce.
Is that where they're like the needles are all brown and falling off, and there's mold all over the place, or fungus?
Funguses, yeah, we have needle cast funguses, stigmina, rhizosphere, needle cast. Other problems that we're having are cytospora, canker.
Cytospora canker.
Canker, yeah.
Okay.
It's a fungus of the resin of the tree, and then it kind of oozes out of the tree.
Yeah.
And then drips on the branches, and it causes other problems. But when that kind of stuff happens, then we get this introduction of secondary insects. So, and that comes with my new thought process about reducing the use of pesticides in the urban forest. We're doing a lot of pesticide application, sprays, but we got to think about why we're doing the spray. Are you doing the spray because you got a secondary insect? Well, maybe if you fix the problem.
How come I wasn't
on
told
the
any
front
of this
end.
stuff? I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like the silly landscaper running around trimming trees and bushes. I know I already said that, but every time I get around this guy, my stomach's like this.
Well, and that's what being a certified arborist is. So if you want to
Yeah.
become, a certified arborist, this affords you the opportunity where doors will be opened up to you.
Yeah.
So you can learn more. It's a craft. It's a never-ending craft of learning all these different skills. It's a pretty amazing industry that we're in. Very multifaceted. It's like an octopus with a lot of tentacles.
What about you see all these? What are these shrubs?
These are thuya.
Do ya?
Yeah, white cedar.
I have customers all the time that don't like how and they want us to top them and make them flat. Is that
I think
bad?
these are green giants, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
green giant arborvitae.
Yeah, green giant arborvitae. One of the things that I want to talk about with this, a lot of times you get storm damage in this. And the reason you're getting storm damage is they have multiple leads. So Denise has gone through great lengths to make sure that she has good single stem,
Yeah.
single leader
Yeah.
evergreen trees. And a lot of times what you'll see in garden centers is you'll have trees that have multiple canes, we could call them, or stems.
Yeah.
That's actually a defect in the tree. So if you're going to the garden center and there's like this area off to the side where they're giving a bunch of these away at a discount, it's probably because they're defective, and some landscape architect or even a certified arborist like me has advised someone not to purchase those because they're full of defects. So she goes through on the front end to try to avoid all that, making sure that her trees have really good structure. So if you're looking for specimen, larger evergreen trees in the thuya family, Green Acres tree is a great place to come. She makes sure that she looks for these defects.
When I go to the nursery by my house, I don't see bushes this big, dude. This is crazy. That's for sale.
Yeah,
How long
for
has this
sale.
been here?
I don't know when she brought it into the yard. More than likely it was this spring that she brought it into the yard. But
I mean, dude,
how
you
long
could
has it
carry
been
this on a
growing?
semi truck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Have you seen her semi-truck?
No.
So she has a semi-truck. She's got a Peterbilt. And she said, most girls want Louis Vuitton bags. She goes, I wanted a Peterbilt semi. She got one. That's pretty dope.
That's dope.
It is dope. That's it right there. What's this? Japanese maple. Palmatum. It's got that more straight up and down. But so this was one that was repurposed from someone's house. So I look at it from the arborist perspective. It's been topped multiple times in its life. By that I mean it just had heading cuts where the way to prune it was just to buzz off the top. And when you do that, when you just make an arbitrary cut anywhere on the branch, especially in things like maples, you just get this epicormic sprouting. Multiple sprouts come out at that end of the cut because the tree tree wants to repair itself. It doesn't like that it was cut that way. It's like an amputation. You know, you need to do it at a joint.
So when you take hedge trimmers on the top of the tree like this and you just cut it down into a perfect...
It's not, yeah, no. It shortens the lifespan of that tree. Now, some clients want that. I've said this before. I just don't do that. I get requests to do all kinds of things to trees and plants, and I know what the long-term implications of doing certain things are, and I just have built my business, and my model is in a space where I don't have to do everything just to get a check. I feel very, very fortunate. I feel like that to me is wealth, that I can walk away from certain things that I don't feel is right to do, that I know will have long-term impacts. So I work on my skills as a communicator and an educator, self-taught, to go get information, then learn communication skills through leadership programs like the Society of Municipal Arborists, Municipal Forestry Institute that I've attended. That is to learn communication leadership skills that will be beneficial in urban forestry, so that I can communicate with a client and say, you want this tree to be around for an extended period of time. It's full life, right? Usually the answer is yes. Okay, here's how we should prune this tree, manage this tree, care for this tree. And if at the end of the day say, I don't care about that, I just want X to be done, you know, some people say, you pay me whatever I ask and I'll do whatever you want. I just don't agree with that. I'm not saying if you do that that's bad. I can't sleep at night if I do that. So that's
I like
kind
it.
of my thing, you know. And that's not to disparage anybody else. You got to feed your family. At the end of the day, you got to feed your family. So, you know, fortunately, I don't have to do that.
All right, so what's next? What's the long-term vision of this? What's down the road?
For me personally, my business, or like the green industry?
Yeah, like the whole green industry. And where do you see all this going? Why is it so important to learn all this?
Well, we're in this age of, like I said before, Anthropocene, where we're in this age where people on this planet have touched the environment more than ever, good and bad. Trees are an important part of harnessing the bad as much as possible with the good benefits of trees in urban built environments. So the bigger picture is to do this repurposing of green material, taking care of the trees that we do have, managing existing green spaces to get people to be more responsible. I'd like to speak more on responsible development. Mm-hmm. So you get land that was naturalized, we come through, we wipe everything out, we pull all the topsoil off, we get down to hard pan, we make the soil anaerobic, which means we just compact it so there's no life left in it, and then we got to put a tree in there. See, and everybody on the other end is like, oh, this is an opportunity to plant trees and make the space nice and beautiful. But what people don't realize is that when that happens, if they don't care for the soil, care for the land before the tree goes in, the tree suffers, and its shelf life is dramatically lessened. And then when the trees get sick because they're stressed, then we come in with all these chemicals that aren't good for the environment either. We're spraying chemicals for pests and insects that were brought in to the landscape because we didn't get it right on the front end. So the bigger picture is the education of all of this and being able to look at it from a multi-dimensional view. Like I said, this industry, it's like an octopus, multi-tentacle. You know what I'm saying? So we've got to go back to the beginning. We've got to look at what we're putting into green spaces. Certain trees just don't belong in certain environments, in certain places. It's not just about we have
a whole new subdivision and just put like 1,000 of the same tree.
Yeah, monoculture. We call that a monoculture. So we look at the example of that with the American elm, and then something like Dutch elm disease comes through, wipes out that population. And then what do? Then we throw all ash trees into the mix, and then the emerald ash borer epidemic hits, and then you lose all the ash trees. But every time that those things have happened, the first thing we do is we run to the chemical application to try to subdue and suppress this. So in the case of like Denise and what she does, she's looking at this stuff as multidimensional, trying to bring in different varieties of plant material to try to mix it up, right? And that's kind of what we need to do. It's not cookie cutter. There's age diversity, there's species diversity, there's all kinds of different
diversity. So the urban
diversity.
environment has to replicate or what's going on in real nature,
Yeah.
instead of having a monoculture,
Right.
where one sweep of infectious fungal disease can
Wipes
go through the
everything out.
community, wipe everything out,
Yep.
which is catastrophic. Or the people that spray a fungicide kills everything.
Yeah.
Or
You
a
kill all the
pesticide that kills
beneficials
all
as
the
well.
insects.
Yeah. And then there's collateral damage of that. So let's use the pesticide application as an example. You do a pesticide application that kills all pests, it's a butterfly effect. You've killed all the insects now. So now birds don't have anything to eat. You've driven the birds away who may be a part of a deeper layer, deeper level in the environmental complex. Feel what I'm saying? And this mimics human life in the urban environment, in the built environment. We are diverse. We are a diverse people, right? Skin tone, ethnic, creed,
Driving
sex,
through
religion.
McDonald's, getting
Yeah,
double cheeseburger, throwing the wrapper out the window,
we're all
smoking a cigarette.
we're all diverse, and our landscapes, our urban forests have to mimic that diversity so we stay healthy. So the environment stays healthy, people stay healthy. Can't live forever. I get it. But man, you can sure thrive while you're living. It's a choice.
I feel it's like a spiritual calling on your life. You speak coming from a place of having so much morality and purpose. You
Well,
feel obligation to
I feel obligation to give back to an industry that saved my life. This very land that I'm standing on, this very location, is where I came when I was a 19-year-old kid who was lost and didn't know what direction I was going to go in, but was in this industry. I'd been cutting grass, I've dug holes, I was planting stuff, I was putting down cobblestone, I was edging beds, I was weed whacking, I was picking up shrubs.
You
to
worked
take back
here
the
when you
job.
were a kid.
I worked while I was 19, yeah.
And he worked on this tree farm
Yeah.
when you were a kid.
Right, and for Denise Vidosh's dad and two other guys, Wayne and Bruce White,
And
two
now
brothers, they were all
full
partners.
circle. You're all grown up. You got your own business and everything.
And I'm right back where I started. I am right back where I started. And I didn't seek it, it sought me. So what is the universe telling me? The universe is telling me I got to come back to center, and I've got to use this, and I got to give it back. I have a fiduciary responsibility, obligatory, to give back. Some people will resonate with my message, some people will not. So my mission is to go out and find other people. If you're not feeling what I'm laying down, then I go find someone else. Maybe you feel what they're laying down, and you gravitate toward them, and maybe they take you on to the next part of the journey. And I'm only here for whoever wants to kick it with me. But I will find somebody that resonates with you.
All right, guys. Daniel Miraval here. This has been awesome. And check out, we just did a podcast on the Untrapped podcast on all major platforms. You got to listen to that too.
Yo soy el Lorax Mexicano, the Mexican Lorax. I speak for the trees.